Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to our daily geometry videos. Today we're going to be looking at, once again, special right triangles, but more complex situations. Okay, so to begin with, here's our triangles we're looking at. So this is a combination one. We're only given one side, okay, but we have our angles inside of them that we can use to kind of solve these out. So for the first one, to make this simpler on you, if you take this as it states, it's a very complex situation, and it's kind of hard to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it apart. We're going to look at this triangle and solve for it. Then we're going to take those numbers and we're going to use them in this triangle. Okay. So we break it apart. It makes it a little bit simpler problem. So the first thing we're going to do is use the side we know. We're going to take this 20 and we're only going to work this triangle right here. Okay. So we draw that out. Okay. And so we have this 45 degree, this 90, and that only means that if it's a 45 and 90, we know the other side has to be 45 as well. And we have our variables. Our A is our hypotenuse, and we have this 20 down here. So what we need to do is we need to plug in our formulas into this. Since it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle, we know that our legs are equal to x, and our hypotenuse is equal to x square roots of 2. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plug those values in. Since we know x is 2, okay, so that means this also has to be 2. So that means right here we have to be sitting at 20 as well. Okay, and a then has to be 20 square roots of 2. So we've actually solved for that first side. Okay, we just plugged in our variable 20 square roots of 2. Okay, if you want to, you can plug it in up here as well. So now what we're going to do, since that triangle is done, we're going to look only at this triangle. So what makes this a little bit simpler is we're going to redraw this out. Okay, so we have our 60 here. And if you need to, you can draw this a little bigger. Okay, and this has to be 30, and this is 90 because it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay, so we know our hypotenuse is 20. Okay, just because it's given already. So now we need to plug in those formulas for the sides. We know across from the 30, we know this is B and this is C as well. So we know across from the 30 is X. We know across from the 60 is X square root of 3. And we know across from 90 or the hypotenuse is actually equal to 2x. So what we need to do is we need to solve for x. Since this equation gives us the value, that's the one we use. 20 is equal to 2x. We solve. We'll divide by 2, both sides. Those cancel. And we're left with x is equal to 10. So we can now plug this into those equations. So we know x is equal to 10. This is also equal to x, or 10 square roots of 3. So those are actually my values I need. So I'm going to take what b is. B is equal to x, which is 10. C is equal to x square roots of 3, so 10 square roots of 3. And that's it. That's how you solve these style of problems, okay? So that's a simpler one, okay? I made sure to make all those numbers worked out perfectly to where they followed our formula. Let's look at a little more complex situation, okay? So we have this triangle right here. Once again, we want to work it piece by piece. So I'm only going to work the sides, the triangle with the given side initially. So that is this 45, 90, 45 triangle. Okay, so I'm going to draw that one out. 45, 90, 45. This is side C, and we know this is 10 square roots of 2. Okay, so we're going to plug in our formula again. Since it's 45, 45, 90, we know our sides are x, x, and x square roots of 2. So I want to solve for the variable, so I'm going to use the known side to solve for it. X square roots of 2 is equal to 10 square roots of 2. Okay, divide by square roots of 2 on both sides. We're left with x is equal to 10. So our value for x is right here. Okay, so I can plug that in for my values over here as well. Okay, so C is equal to 10. Now, since that one's done, I'm going to only work this triangle right here. This AB and this 30, 60, 90 triangle. So I'm going to redraw it out. A little bigger this time. How about that? 60, 90, this has to be 30. And we know this side is 10. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my formula. I'm going to mark my sides and what they should be. Across from the 30 should be x. Across from the 60 should be x square roots of 3. And across from the 90, or the hypotenuse, should be 2x. So once again, we want to solve for x for this one. So we're going to use the known value we have. We're going to solve for here. So we're going to say x square roots of 3 is equal to 10. Divide by the square root of 3 both sides. We end up getting x is equal to 10 square roots of 3. Now the one thing very important is we cannot have a radical on bottom, so we have to multiply that out. So I'm going to multiply by that radical on top and on bottom. Okay, so what that essentially does is you multiply straight across, and we end up getting x is equal to 10 square roots of 3 over, and your square roots cancel and leave you with 3. So we actually have our x value now. So I'm going to plug that in. This is equal to, x is equal to 10 square roots of 3 over 3, and that's our b value. And a is going to equal 2x. So a is equal to 2 times 10 square roots of 3 over 3, which should give us, these just multiply together, and nothing else can multiply in within those or divide, so we end up getting 20 square roots of 3 over 3. So now we have all our values, okay? That's essentially it, okay? These are very simplistic problems when you make them simple, okay? There's a little more to them, okay? We have our both style of triangles that we're combining in order to solve for things, and sometimes you're going to have these situations, but you just have to work it out, okay? I'm not going to give you too much and overload you with these type of situations, okay? I expect you to have a little more trouble with today's stuff, so make sure you're emailing me or asking questions. You're more than welcome. I'll help you out as much as I can on that aspect. I will give you, or I guess just ask questions, okay, and we'll go from there. If we need to have a live meeting about this and kind of go over a little bit more, we will, okay? But other than that, have a good day. Peace.